Welcome to the NICU Today Podcast, a podcast to give families a new point of support as they navigate the NICU journey. Thank you for listening. Please don't forget to subscribe wherever you enjoy your podcast and share this episode with anyone who might find it helpful. Welcome back to the NICU Today podcast. I am so excited to welcome two dear friends for the episode today. They will have lots to share, so we will keep this introduction very short. Jacobs Shapiro is Aubrey's mom and founder of Aubrey's Advocate. Jodi Laughlin is Noelle's mom and co-founder of Noelle's Light. We have so much to get into, so I'm going to head right to our guests and let them share their own personal journeys. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us, Martha.
Yes, very excited to have you here. I'm going to start with Julie. Can you share a little bit about your family's journey?
Yes, absolutely. So in 2020, my husband and I were so excited to find out that we were expecting our first baby. We decided to not find out the gender. We really just wanted it to be, that big surprise moment, all of it. 2020 also was prime pandemic, and the three of us, my husband, myself, and our baby, just sat home, stayed safe, did everything possible. I had a normal, healthy pregnancy from what I believed. Again, being a first-time mom, first-time pregnancy, you really don't know what to expect. And my daughter was actually then born at 37 weeks and 4 days as a full-term stillbirth. It was complete freak accident, it was a complete freak thing. She was breech, which we knew, and we had a scheduled C-section planned because of that. And just a few days before that scheduled C-section, she actually was trying to turn around in the womb to be head down position, and doing so, she got wrapped up in the cord. After we delivered her, still via C-section, her cause of death was determined a cord accident. The aftermath, of course, of picking up the pieces after something like that and just really learning to rebuild my life took me in a lot of different directions. But something that I was incredibly passionate about and something that really just spoke to me is that about 2.5 months after Aubrey was born, I'm sitting at home. It's right around the Christmas holidays, and I received a bill from my insurance company, and it just sparked the anger and the passion in me. And I was like, how could somebody expect me in this place, or anybody like me, to still have to pay bills? And it was also completely unexpected. I didn't even know. I almost wish that I had an idea that could possibly have been coming. And so I called up my insurance company and I fought tooth and nail, and I was able to have my bills absolved. And I went to a lost mom support group that night that I was involved with. And I shared my story of what I had done. And half the moms looked at me and were like, please help me. Like, I need help with this. I'm on a payment plan. I had to go back to work before I was ready because we needed the money. And like, I need help with this. This is just adding to our pain. So after helping a few additional moms out, I really started to catch on, like, this is something that nobody is necessarily prepared for, the aftermath of it all. And so through that, I was able to connect with a number of other lost moms, mainly through word of mouth and social media. And I was formed Aubrey's Advocate, which is our nonprofit, started officially in 2022. Up till this point, we have now helped over 30 families do insurance management and advocacy. Basically, it's kind of me doing it on my own, but I take it upon myself to manage what I like to call the administrative tasks of dealing with the aftermath. And here we are now, 2 years later. We are now also able to offer financial support to families that we assist as well. So it has really become my purpose out of pain.
Well, thank you so much for sharing about your journey. And we talk about loss and how all of us have such a different experience going through loss and what each of our experiences are and how different that they can be. And I know you and I connected a couple of years ago, and our loss experience is different than yours, is different than Jodi's. And we talk about that a lot. And you are doing so much to support other families. I do want to come back to Aubrey's advocate. I am going to go to Jodi to share a little bit about your family story with Noelle.
Thank you, Martha, and thank you, Julie, for sharing. My story, my husband and I met at Villanova University in 2009, and Alex and I were married in 2016. Shortly after we got married, we found out we were expecting our first baby, and we were so excited. And at our 20-week anatomy scan, we found out that our baby had fluid around her heart. That led us on a journey of seeing multiple specialists for the next 4 weeks. And we ended up being reassured that everything looked okay. Her heart looked good. And then we went back to our maternal fetal medicine doctor when I was 24 weeks pregnant. And at that time, he found fluid around her heart and also around her lungs. And we were told that she had a condition called hydrops. And at this point, our care was transferred to the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. The next 6 weeks consisted of us going back and forth to the hospital, having multiple tests. And I underwent 3 different procedures to try and drain the fluid that was around her heart, and also have shunts placed in both of her lungs to drain the fluid that was around her lungs. We kept being told if we could make it to 30 weeks pregnant, that her prognosis would be much better. We did make it to 30 weeks pregnant, and on December 13th, I went in for one of my scheduled appointments, and I could tell that she was not moving as much. So I wasn't shocked when they told me that I would need a C-section that day, and it was time to give her a chance to live on the outside. So at 6:15, she was born via emergency C-section, and my husband and I were so excited to be first-time parents. We really, in that moment, thought, okay, we're going to go to the NICU. We're going to have, a long NICU stay. But 32 minutes later, we were saying our goodbyes to our daughter. The next few days in the hospital, we spent holding her and taking pictures with her and saying goodbye to her. But on our car ride home, even though we had empty hands, our hearts were full of a love we never knew existed. And we just knew that we needed to do something with that love. And that's really what Noelle's Light is born out of, is the love that we have for our daughter, Noelle.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing your story as well, and trying to take each day, 1 minute, 1 hour at a time. I wanted to just touch on what you had shared about making the memories, because I think that it's a difficult time for parents. I remember during our first loss with Mary, we had some photos taken, but we didn't do nearly as much as we did when William was born, and our daughters dressed him, and we spent time with him, and it was just a very different experience. But what can you share for families who may be expecting a loss or trying to figure out how they navigate through those memory making? Are you glad that you did all of that memory making, and how did you get through that?
Yeah, like I said, even though our daughter was sick, I never really thought about the possibility of her dying. So in that moment, it was decisions we had to make quickly. And I'm incredibly glad we did spend that time with her. I think that for me, I tried to just put my fear aside and just love on her as much as I could. My husband really did not want to take pictures. He was nervous about holding her. But together we did it, and we look back and we're really happy we did, but there are certain things still that we didn't do, and I didn't give her a bath, and I wish I had more time with her. So I do think, if you are someone who can anticipate maybe having to lose your child, that these are all good things to think about and plan for. But if you find yourself, being surprised by a loss, like I know Julie and I were, just know that there's nothing that can prepare you for that. And you're always going to do what you, whatever you do in that moment is the right thing for you.
We oftentimes say you make the best decisions you can with the information that you have.
Right.
So it's being in that moment for sure. And just you do the best you can. And that is the right decision in that moment. Julie, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I had a different experience. My husband and I made the decision that we were going to say hello and goodbye in the OR. Of course, it's a regret that I live with daily. Just knowing that I did not spend the time with her that I could have. I also wish, of course, that I took the photos, but I appreciated the fact that nobody was pushing me in any type of a direction. So for me, I think that I was really struggling to take any type of advice or any type of really feedback from any of my nursing staff who was taking care of us who didn't have a loss themselves. And so I think that in hindsight, I, of course, wish that I was able to spend more time with her. I wish I understood that there are a number of different ways that you can make memories. Okay, so I didn't take pictures. I do wish I took her gave her a bath. I do wish that I dressed her in her going home outfit. I wish that I kept some of her hair or her fingernails. Doesn't always have to just be pictures. And I would encourage anybody who is listening, who's maybe a staff member or has friends or family, to gently encourage the family who's experiencing the loss to utilize the memory making items and to get creative, and also to give them multiple opportunities instead of just asking once and then it never being brought up again. I do feel incredibly lucky because, like I said, so we opted for no photos of us holding her. We opted to not bring her into our room via cuddle cot. I did have a nurse 2 days later. It was the day before we were about to leave. The night before we were about to leave, we were going to get discharged the next morning. And she said to me after the day was over, it was, busy day of making decisions, holding my hand, sat on a chair next to me and looked at me and goes, I respect and understand that you do not take photos with your daughter. Like I can't imagine having to make a decision like that. I would be honored if tonight after you went to bed, I took photos of her myself, and I can get them printed and I can put them in a sealed envelope. Somebody else can pick them up. You don't ever have to open it, but if you ever do want to, they're there. And we said yes to that. And they are my most treasured items. And we also do not share those photos with everybody, but just the peace of knowing that I have them and the kindness and empathy that I felt from this nurse who waited till the right time and really took the decision. All I had to do was say, yes, okay, you can do that. She kept expressing to me, she's so beautiful. She's so, so perfect. I want to see her again. And I also just really appreciated that aspect of it.
Thank you for sharing that. And I think it's so important to hear these personal experiences of how you navigated through that loss and the decisions that really are that you have to make right then. We oftentimes share, we wish that the nurses had pushed us harder with Mary to do kangaroo care. We did not do kangaroo care with Mary before she passed away. It was our biggest regret when our son, William, who had trisomy 18, was born. That was the only thing that we asked to do with him for Paul and me to really close that circle for us with going through loss twice in our family here. But I agree with you. Any nurses or medical providers listening, really push parents out of their comfort zone when possible to make those memories. And it's not only pictures, it is the footprints, it's the ornaments, it's the footprints on books. I mean, there's so many different opportunities. Thank you both for sharing that. Jodi, I want to come back to Noelle's Light. Can you talk to us a little bit where you started with what you and Alex are offering for families and how that mission has expanded over the past couple of years?
Yes. So the year following Noelle's death, we knew that we wanted to do something to help others. We kept going back to the fact that, despite the worst outcome, we had so many things in our favor. We both had employers that allowed us to take more than our allotted time off from work. We lived close to one of the best children's hospitals in the world. We had family that was understanding, and we could afford to have every test done to try and figure out what was going on with our baby. We had the procedures that were recommended, and we were able to afford a funeral for our baby. We spent our lives, but the next bulk of the next year grieving, and we didn't have to worry about the bills that were coming through the door. There was an article that the Federal Reserve published that same year, and it stated that 60% of Americans, if they were surprised by a $600 bill, they either would not be able to pay it, they would have to sell something in order to pay it, or they would have to take out a loan. And that is really like where our inspiration for Noelle's Light came from. Noelle's Light offers up to $5,000 of financial assistance to families who have a need. And the families have to either be actively pregnant and have a baby with a fetal diagnosis, or have given birth and their baby has a congenital diagnosis. So that is that's the bulk of our mission. But since we started, we also have expanded our programs to now include an IVF grant, where we offer $10,000 towards IVF to one family each year. And that family is the candidate is recommended by a genetic counselor at CHOP who worked closely with us during our journey. Another program we have is our emotional support program, which is where I spend the bulk of my time. Shortly after Noelle died, I was just looking everywhere for the support that I needed. And I actually ended up flying to Texas to go to a grief retreat. And I felt it's the first time someone referred to me as Noelle's mom. And I just remember being like, oh my God, these people understand me. And I finally felt like I was connecting with people. And then I flew back home and I was just really craving that connection. So I really made it my point to, if I heard of another mom who had gone through a loss, like I reached out to them and I started slowly building a network here. Now Noelle's Light runs a one-on-one mentorship program. And we also run a group program alongside of Aubrey's Advocate called Light After Loss. We also have something called Noelle's Hope Box, which is we send boxes of curated goods, artwork, and resources to families who have recently gone through a loss.
Amazing. And it's so exciting to hear where you started and how you've been able to add programs that really fall in line with your mission. I do want to come back to the support group for the both of you, but Julie, can you share a little bit more about Aubrey's Advocate? You started with health insurance. What else you're doing to help to support families?
Yeah, absolutely. So the mission of Aubrey's Advocate is very broad because I work to just essentially be available for families in the aftermath of a perinatal loss. It started with our insurance assistance arm, And then that led to the ability to financially support families to pay their labor and delivery bills that I could not get absolved for them. I have done things as far as find specialists for families. I have helped find doctors for them. I have actually called their employers and asked for extended leave time for them. I've worked with funeral homes as well. And it really has just, like I said, my purpose out of pain. Like, what can I do? None of us know what to do in the aftermath. So what can I do that will make your life easier in this moment? Outside of our insurance advocacy, we also offer mentorship and our emotional support alongside of Noelle's Light via our support groups for new lost moms specifically. And then we also, our third arm is for provider and community support. And through this arm, we offer presentations both around grief, around best practices to support families in the aftermath of a loss, best practices for healthcare providers to support families when they are in the hospital living this tragedy, this hell, and how to work with them to prepare them so that they don't walk away with any more regrets or guilt than need be. Throughout those three pillars, I feel like we have the ability now to really give families what it is that they need. And this past week, I was able to connect a mom who does not currently have insurance to mental health support through our newest edition, which is actually called the Lucas James Grant through Aubrey's Advocate. And we are able to provide these services based on a monetary donation that Aubrey's Advocate received from a family who lost their own son named Lucas James. So it's really all about giving. I want everybody to feel like they have a place. This is a place where you are safe. We understand. You can tell me what you need. We will make it happen for you.
Love hearing that so much. You both are doing such great work to help families who are going through loss. Can you tell us a little bit more? I know you're working together on the support group. Where can listeners learn more about that support group?
Yes. So we are about to launch our 5th support group. Our goal has been to run about 2 to 3 support groups a year with a hope to expand our program by adding more mentors in the future. The main goal of our group is to remind families that they are not alone and there's hope after loss. We meet via Zoom for once a week for 8 weeks and discuss a different topic of grief each week. If you're someone who has recently experienced a loss, please reach out directly to Aubrey's Advocate or to Noelle's Light, and we will make it our mission to be there to support you until the next group starts. And we have a lot of exciting things coming up, which I'm going to let Julie talk about.
Yes. So like Jodi said, we are about to kick off our 5th iteration of our Light After Loss group. And what we have found, because we work hard to create, this support group has basically been created based on all the things that Jodi and I experienced in other support groups that we didn't like, and different ways that we found ourselves to still feel like a little bit disconnected from the other people around us. So we specifically focus on moms who have experienced a loss within the last 3 to 6 months, kind of that phase where you are starting, the veil is lifted, the grief veil, if you will, starts to get lifted. And you're just kind of like, oh my gosh, I still have to live in a world where this happened to me. What is that going to look like? And so, we coach the girls, they coach one another. We keep it very intimate, only about 8 moms total. And we just keep it real. Starting tonight, we are now also offering an alumni once a month group via Zoom to meet up. The feedback for it has been incredible. The desire for it has been incredible. And based on that, Jodi and I will also be hosting our first Light After Loss retreat. This coming October, the 4th through the 6th, it will be held in the Poconos. And we are looking to essentially make what we do in our support groups into a weekend activity. It's not about just the sadness aspect. It's about celebrating the fact that good things are still happening to us and for us, around us, and you will get through this. And also just a reminder that we are all different people. After a loss like this, we all still need to be celebrated, and we should be.
Love this.
If anyone out there is listening and would like to join us on our retreat, like Jodi had mentioned, please reach out to us directly via Noelle's Light or Aubrey's Advocate.
Well, that is a great segue. Can you, Julie, please share your website information where listeners can learn more? And then, Jodi, you can jump in and share more about Noelle's Light.
Absolutely. So you can find us www.Aubrey's Advocate. That's AUBREYS advocate.com. You can find me on Instagram at Aubrey's Advocate, or my personal account, which is at Julie Jacobs Shapiro. I am always available to be a listening ear or a friend. Pop into my DMs, send me a text message. I'm here for you, and you're not alone.
Love that. Jodi?
You can reach Noelle's Light at www.noellslight.org. You can also send me an email, Laughlin, JLAUGHLIN @noellslight.org, or reach out to us on Instagram at Noelles_light. And as Julie said, always here for you. I will respond right away and just let you know you are never alone.
I'd also like to share, we all partner together on an annual interfaith remembrance service in the Philadelphia area, where you can learn more at any of our websites. We are planning that right now. It will happen in October of 2024 during the Wave of Light celebration. So be sure to check out our websites for more information. As we finish up today, I'm going to ask you both, what is the biggest lesson you've learned navigating through your personal grief? Julie, do you want to start?
Yeah. There was a time right after where I could not get out of bed, and I was like, what am I how did this happen to me? And the self-loathing and the guilt aspect almost got the best of me. And then I realized, I invested in myself through therapy. I invested in myself through Aubrey's Advocate, and I built this new life where this happened, and it's a beautiful life at that. And I just want to remind anybody out there that this does not define you. This is not your fault. And any decision you made is the right one. Be proud of the person that you are when you come out on the other side of this.
Love that. Thank you. Jodi?
I think the biggest lesson that I have learned in my grief is that you can find meaning in your grief. And often that meaning is found by connecting with others. I think also that we all will go through something tragic in our lives, and that you don't have to go through that alone. It's by connecting with others and that we can find companionship, purpose, and joy again.
Love that. Can't thank you both enough. Very grateful for your friendship. So grateful for the opportunities we have to work together through our 3 organizations to support families, not only in the NICU, but those families who experience loss. Really glad to know you both, and you're doing such great work. So thank you for joining us on the NICU Today podcast.
Thank you, Martha.
Thank you for tuning in to the NICU Today podcast, brought to you by Today is a Good Day. Learn more at todayisagoodday.org.